There are very few companies that know more about the internet than Google. And here to share with us about that dark side of the internet, web spam, is Google's Matt Cutts. Please welcome out Matt.
All right. My name is Matt Cutts. I'm an engineer at Google. I've been at Google for a little over 8 years. Most of that time, I've worked on spam. Now, what do I mean when I say spam? I'm not talking about email spam, spam showing up in your inbox. I'm talking about web spam. Web spam is when somebody tries to cheat or take shortcuts or break the rules so that their website shows up higher than it deserves to show up. Let me show you an example. If you're looking for clip art, you probably don't want a page like this. You've got clip art with misspellings, keyword stuffing, gibberish. There's all sorts of stuff on this page except for clip art. That's the kind of thing you don't want showing up in your search results. Let me show you one more example. It's a little bit of an eye chart, so I'll tell you what it is. This spammer has systematically taken the phrase tax deferred and misspelled it in every way he can think of. So what he's looking for is someone who's trying to type in tax deferred and doesn't know how to spell it, or their hand slipped on the keyboard, and they're waiting with a keyword net to gather together all of these different pages and show up higher on the search engines. So that's what web spam is. What does Google know about it? Well, we know what the root cause of it is, and that's a pretty simple answer: money. For the most part, if a spammer can make money off of your system, whether it be free hosting or links that they can convert to money, that's what you need to try to deny against. You need to look at ways that you can prevent that. Now, most of the time it's about money, but I wanted to show you one example that I saw a few years ago. This is recreated from church. This is not the actual page, but someone sent me this and said, check out this page. And it looked like a completely normal Catholic church, communion on Fridays. So I went and checked it out, and there was a lot of white space down at the bottom. So I said, you know what, let's take the mouse and highlight the bottom of the page. And sure enough, Catholicism, 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 all down the bottom. So this church was not spamming for money, it was spamming for your eternal soul. And that's not the sort of church you probably want to sign up with. So most of the time, it's about money. What else do we know about spam? Trust and reputation. If you can build it into your website service or your website, is a really great way to help reduce spam. And let's look at some real-world examples. eBay and Amazon are fantastic at this. If you look at this seller, he sold 200 things. Everybody's been positive about him. And he's been on the system for more than 5 years. So that's a real-world signal that this person can be trusted. Likewise, Stewart Brand, Amazon has actual money. They have credit card data just like eBay. So when Stewart Brand rates something as 5 stars, you know that that's probably a real book. It's a real site. It's a real person. And that makes it more resistant to spam. Google has a system of reputation called PageRank. Before Google, most of the major search engines would look at the content of a page and would only rank based on the content of the page. So if you cloned whatever was at number 1, you could sometimes hijack their listing. And what Google did that was different is it started to look at the backlinks to a site and say, how important are the people that link to this page? And that's really, really useful to be able to say whether a page is spam or not. So the takeaway is actually pretty simple. Look for ways to build a little bit of reputation into your system. And I want to highlight this point here in red. You don't just have to cost spammers money. You can also cost them time. You can cost them effort. If a spammer gets frustrated whenever he tries to spam your system and get a reward, he's more likely to bypass you and go and look for some easier prey. So think about the spammer mindset and figure out how you can annoy them. Now, at this point, I have to insert one obligatory slide, or else I will be burned in effigy as soon as I walk out of the hall. And that is search engine optimization, the practice of trying to get your website to rank higher in search engines, is not spam. Google does not hate SEO. There are plenty of valid white hat guys who can help you out. All you have to do is ask for references. A valid SEO is not going to not tell you what they're doing. They're not going to hide their tactics. They'll give you a very open description of what they're working on. So there's some very simple tips to find some good guys. All right, let's get back to some stories. This is an email that's been bouncing around for over 8 years. It claims a computer illiterate man in Massachusetts has cracked the search engine algorithms and can guarantee top rankings. I almost imagine this guy saying, okay, switch the order of these 2 words, and suddenly the traffic is like, goosh, right? And, oh, we're going to have to buy some more servers. And it just doesn't work that way. you need to apply your critical thinking skills. So this one's a little hard to read, but it's a fax from the official Internet Registry and Optimization Bureau. There is no such thing, right? So when a board member comes to you and says, oh, I got this fax, or I got this letter and we had to pay $65 for our annual website search engine listing, just shake your head and let them know you don't have to pay money to the search engines to be ranked. Now there's another thing that Google knows about spam, and that is spammers are human. They make mistakes, and so they leave footprints. The takeaway here is, whenever you're running your own service, try to get as much data as you can, because the spammers won't look organic in every possible way. You might not be able to read the text here, but I'll read it for you. Someone has bought this computer illiterate man's package, and he got a template, and he filled it in, and it says, insert your hidden text here. Right? The spammers are dumb enough that they'll insert the hidden text into the template, but they don't take out the comment that says, here's where my spam is. Now, another piece of good news is that it's very easy to prevent these attacks. If you get even a little bit off the beaten path, you'll lower your risk profile. So if you're a blogger, you've probably seen these CAPTCHAs. One blogger says, just type the word orange. That's all you have to do to prove that you're a human. And the vast majority of bots will never do that. On my blog, my personal blog, mattcutts.com, I just ask a math question. So what's 2 plus 2? And that saves you a ton of trouble. There are other people who will require a valid email address. This is a really clever technique. One person says, leave this field blank. And in the form, it's labeled email. And all the bots will say, oh, this is an email field. I'll fill it in with a fake email address. Whereas a human will read it and say, okay, I'll leave that field blank. One of my favorite CAPTCHAs is called the kitten CAPTCHA, or kitten auth. It shows you pictures of animals and says, okay, click on all the kittens, or in this case, click on all the foxes. And bots are really bad at telling a fox from a dolphin. So if somebody comes through here, you know that it's a real person. Now we get to the depressing part of my 10 minutes. Unfortunately, Google also knows that spam will get more malicious and more dangerous in the coming months and years. So just yesterday, there was a SQL injection attack that affected 500,000 pages on the web. What you can do, keep your software fully patched. You know what? This is Web 2.0. You should probably be running a lot of your software as a service. Then you don't have to worry about patches. You can just, let the other people worry about it. And it's important to look at the security holes in your system. Try to find those cross-site scripting holes before the hackers do. So what are the insights that I want you guys to walk away with? It's actually not that hard. Number one, try to get some trust, some reputation into your system. Because if you can lower your risk profile, if you can get even a little bit off the beaten path, away from these default software installations, you'll save yourself a ton of grief. And spammers are human. You can make them angry. You can make them frustrated. You have the power to raise their blood pressure. Take advantage of that. Make them cost in time. Make them spend extra effort trying to spam you. If you remember anything from my entire talk, I'd like you to remember this slide. Dan made fun of us for saying don't be evil, but this truly is a don't be evil service that we provide. It's completely free. You register your site, and then if we see that your site has been hacked, or if we see white text on a white background, something like that, we'll often drop you a note and give you a heads up and say, you know what, there's a problem with your website. It's a great service because you can not only get all sorts of information about your site, you can see what are my backlinks, how slow is my site loading, what words are people using to find my page, but you'll also find out whenever your site has problems. So in general, spam is avoidable. If you take advantage of these insights, if you take away these actionable items, then you don't have to worry about spam breaking your heart either. Thanks very much.